This chaos this morning, climate activists launching a coordinated attack on our second largest export industry, coal. At 7 a.m, a woman from Blockade Australia dangled herself from a rail bridge at the port of Newcastle, refusing to come down. An hour or so later, a second woman from the same group did much the same at the port of Brisbane. And just before 9 a.m, a man halted operations at the port of Melbourne. Export terrorism is what I'd call it. They've put out a statement saying it was part of a coordinated mobilisation in response to Australia's facilitation of the climate and ecological crisis. To discuss this and more, the LNP's MP and former Resources Minister Keith Pitt, Sky News contributor, former Howard Government Minister Gary Hardgrave. Gents, I must say I missed you both together in the flesh. I saw one and not the other on the weekend in Canberra. But Keith, I'll start with you. You've been a former Minister for Resources. If you could get these blockheads from Blockhead Australia in a room, what would you tell them?
Well, stop being a bunch of numpties, Peter, I think is where I start. The idea that they're going to block down Australia's trade, particularly, do they ever think about the fact that this is where our medical supplies come from, this is where food comes in and out, this is where our exports are, we've got all those people who get held up trying to go to work, but the human cost. Imagine how many people didn't get to drop their kids off in time or potentially pick them up or had a doctor's appointment that they'd waited months to get and they've been held up because these people think they're more important than everyone else. How about we show up with a concrete truck out the front of their place and we'll pour that in the driveway and see how happy they are when they can't go anywhere.
Or ban them from welfare because our exports are paying for their welfare. I mean, I don't think many of them work. Gary, there was laws passed by the Peta government, $22,000 fines, upwards of 2 years in prison. But we saw last year in Sydney, most of these protesters walked away without convictions, or if they got them, they were very modest in terms of financial penalties. Now, we've got a book to throw at them. Are we going to throw the book at them?
Well, look, because no, they want to forgive them. These people, 3 people who completely affected this outcome, think they're all very clever tonight, but as Keith said, all these people have been hurt as a consequence. They believe in free speech as long as they're the only ones doing the talking. But look, the simple reality, Peter, is this. This is a coordinated plan to destroy this country. Our sovereignty is at risk. Our national security is at risk. This is not about a climate emergency or a cultural emergency or any other emergency. This is about the circumstance by which nobody who does something wrong is actually penalised in this country. And for the greater good, each of them should be jailed and should be jailed severely. Anybody who wants to follow their footsteps, exactly the same thing. Because, Peter, we are, without any doubt, if net zero is a thing, then, you know, why aren't we talking nuclear? But by saying we can't use coal, we're going to set the economy of this country backwards. Coal is a great renewable resource because the trees suck it out of the sky, that carbon dioxide, every night and turn it back into oxygen. I do not know what these people are going on with. They should have sat with me year 6, Runcorn State School years ago. They'd know how the balance of nature works. These people are unhinged. Simple.